Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Here I am. I'm back again. Just wanted to, have a venting type session here. I'm trying to figure out where to look. I don't even have my glasses on, so it's irrelevant. So, I just wanted to talk about a lot of the energy lately has been really heavy. I don't think there's any tarot reader out there or light worker out there who will tell you any different. Um, so I did some fire sign readings the other day. Actually, I think it was Aries, Leo, Sag, and the Gemini reading. And the energy was kind of off the wall. The Aries reading really caught me off guard. Anyways, I said to everybody, just put redo in the comments if you want me to redo this video, because I was questioning it. And I went through the readings doing that. And later on, I was like, why did I even second guess myself? Right? Because somebody out there really needed to hear that message. I had one person asked me if I would redo it. I was sitting there so confused. I'm an Aries myself about that reading. So fast forward a couple days, I was actually talking to my niece on the phone. And she was telling me about a reading I did, the you versus them. She's like, oh my God, like you nailed it. And I said, what's really funny is I did that Aries reading. I said, and I was so confused. I said, and I'm talking to her on the phone and I'm like, but you know what? There's a very strong message in that reading for me. And it's only now I'm realizing that. It's interesting because a lot of us are dealing with a lot of subconscious stuff and stuff keeps coming up. I'm a light worker. I'm here to try and help people. I'm not here to try and keep people stuck. I'm not here to try and, keep people waiting on people. But I feel a lot of us are dealing with a lot of this subconscious stuff that we're even unaware of that affects our moods and everything else, and we're unaware of why. There's like 4 planets in retrograde. We have eclipses coming up. In fact, we just had one yesterday. I was doing a couple of the readings. I'm like, man, like there is an eclipse today. All of this affects us all. It's all energy. Everything going on in our sky and everything else with the planets affects humans and everything else. Any living being on the planet. Okay. I know I bring up astrology. I'm not an astrologer by any means, but I followed it for years. Anyways, so I do bring up things like that just to let people know. I think we're all going through it. There's this lack of direction. Where are we going? In many different aspects of our life. It's not just in love. I'm trying to bring more lighthearted readings to my channel. Like the pick a card, see what kind of messages I let the readings dictate what that pick a card's going to be about. I don't really set any intentions when I go into those, but usually each reading has the same type of message, right? And so I'm trying to do some more general type readings as well. I do find a lot of times the you versus them is very heavy. A lot of us have been dealing with these really heavy karmic situations. Okay. And we're still purging from them. And if that stuff keeps coming up in the readings, then there's something that you haven't dealt with. There's a message in that you need to hear. You know, you're in denial if you think that there's no message in that for you. Okay. So I think we're all here to clear out all this karmic stuff, even the subconscious stuff. Okay, because a lot of us hold on to it and don't even realize it. I mean, if you want to go deep into the rabbit hole, it can be stuff from past lives as well. You know, our subconscious is aware of it, but we're not aware of it. You know, and depending on what you believe, right? I'm not pushing what I believe on other people, but I do feel a lot of people we come into contact in our life, we've probably dealt with them in past lives. You know, and this is where when you meet somebody and you feel like you've known them, you're like, God, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Well, your subconscious did. You know, you can feel that. Your body knows, your energy knows, your energy recognizes each other. Okay. So, anyways, that said, I did have one person come onto my channel. I don't know if they're still here or not, but constantly putting me down, telling me the energy's reversed. They don't like the way I read. Well, that was the last straw for me. Their comments are now blocked. I don't need to see them. I come on here out of the goodness of my heart and do these readings. However long the readings are, it takes me twice as long by the time I upload them. Okay, so it can be like 12 to 18 hours of my week, which is like a part-time job on top of my job, my physical job that I do, to do these videos. Okay, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. All right, and I know that, and I'm okay with that. I accept that. I try not to sugarcoat things or lighten things because I feel like I'm not doing my job if I do that. It's not what I'm here to do. Here to shed light. I hope, shed some insight. And that's really my purpose here. I feel the blame game or blaming other people, it doesn't matter what happened. We can be in very crappy situations in our life. And I'm going to give you an example of something in a minute here. But we have to take responsibility for our part in it. Even if we were in abusive connections. And I posted something the other day, and I think I offended some people about this woman. And my God, the stuff she had to go through to get to where she is today, being an advocate and speaking out for people and helping people. Just amazing. Basically left for dead. It's a very sad story. But her purpose here was to be an advocate and help other people. Sadly, she had to go through everything she had to go through. And we do. We all come down with a blueprint. And I talked about it yesterday in a short where we have this blueprint of our life path. So a lot of times, we have these connections and it was all part of it, whether they lasted or they didn't. Okay, there was something we needed to learn for the evolution of our soul, for our soul's growth, and I talk about it all the time on my channel. Okay, let's get back to being responsible for our part in things. So here's a scenario. And this is a personal story about me. So I'm not naming any names. Some years ago, I was with somebody who was an alcoholic. Chose the bottle over me every day. Every day. To the point that I knew if that bottle was sitting there and I was sitting there, that he would grab for that bottle every time he'd choose that bottle. I ended up leaving that connection. But before I left, I guess I was grasping at straws because I really loved him. Or at least I thought I did. May have been codependency, to be honest. I knew there was an issue there, but didn't really know how severe it was until I was literally living there with him. And then things got real. So we went to a counselor. I wanted to go to couples counseling. So we sat down in this counselor's office, and I'm just sitting in a puddle of tears because I'm so feeling worthless, not worthy, literally comparing myself to a bottle of alcohol. It was more important than I was. I'd run circles trying to keep this person happy. Prime example of codependency is when you're trying to save someone. You know that they have good parts of them. You want more for them. You know they have the potential, but they don't want it for themselves. So we sat down in this counselor's office anyways. You know me and stories. I just get all up in my head and I'm a little all over the place. So just bear with me. It's who I am. So every time I would say something, and I'm sobbing, he would turn around and say, "Oh, come on. That's her perception. Come on, Joanne, that's not really what happened." Downplaying everything. This is what happened. So the counselor looked at both of us at the end. I felt so defeated. And she said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I want to work with each of you individually." So she said, "Then I'm going to bring you both back together and we'll discuss it. But I think that there's underlying issues on both your parts, and I want to sit down and deal with each of you individually." So anyways, fast forward. We had to make appointments before we left. And the only way I could make it work was to go in on a Friday afternoon. So I went to make the appointment. He looked at me. He goes, "Friday afternoon? That doesn't really work for me." Counselor looked at me and looked at him. I said, "Friday afternoon. The only day I can make it work." He had made an appointment for like the following Tuesday. We left there and he was angry. It's like, that wasn't helpful. I don't even want to go back. So fast forward to Friday afternoon. I went to this counselor's appointment. I sat down. She looked at me. She said, "You already know." And I started bawling. Because I did. I was grasping at straws. She said, "You need to get out. You need to save yourself." She said, "But you already know that." And I did. I did. 100%. So fast forward now. I leave that appointment. And I knew I had to make changes. I need to get a place. I needed to, kind of strange how it all worked out because I ended up going back to where I left, to be honest. It's just funny how it all works out. Talk about divine timing and things that are meant to be and everything falling into place. So roll around to Tuesday now, and he's supposed to go to the appointment, of course. He cancels his appointment because he didn't want the help. There's nothing wrong with him. It was all my perception of everything. Oftentimes with addiction comes narcissism and all these other things. I feel oftentimes it's a learned behavior. When you get sober, you have to kind of unlearn those behaviors. But oftentimes with addiction, it's not a secret. Comes a lot of narcissistic tendencies, and really what it comes down to is denial. It's everyone else's fault, not their fault, right? Okay, so here we are now. Fast forward. I keep going to this counselor. And bless that woman's heart. I'm telling you right now, I have many supportive people. I don't want anybody to get that wrong. I was not alone. I have a very supportive family. In fact, with that said, I have two brothers, and they've really been a godsend to me in a lot of ways, because they do tell me from a male's perspective, or I guess you would say, oftentimes when I'm dealing with her, they understand what I'm going through. But meanwhile, my brothers are both the settled down type. They both have women, and they don't see anyone else. Others just don't sit in this wishy-washy player type energy, and they truly do want the best for me, right? So oftentimes I do go to them for advice or spill my guts, because I can. It's a safe place. So, but regardless of that, this counselor literally saved me from myself. I had been to counselors in the past, and it didn't really do anything for me, or I didn't feel it did. What I really liked about this woman, though, she was quite spiritual. So I guess that's why we really connected. Anyways, so I did the work. It was hard. But I realized in the end, that's really what it was. It was codependency. I was trying to save him from himself. He didn't want the help. He didn't want to be saved. So I did all the inner work, picked myself back up from that low place, right? I had to block him and all of that kind of stuff, because I couldn't deal with him giving me all these empty promises all the time and want me to go back and messing with my head, because nothing had changed. Not gonna lie, I did go back a couple times. The last time, I think it lasted 2 days, and I never looked back. Anyways, continue with the therapy. This counselor really helped me pick myself back up, because we all have the tools within us to do so, and sometimes we need a helping hand. So then I meet somebody else. And it's interesting, because when I look back at my pattern in my relationships, as I'm sure you all can, each one seems to outdo the last one. Okay, you think, well, I can't do any better than that, the way it made me feel. And then next thing you know, you get into another one and it is better. You kind of outdid yourself. Because you make better choices, right? You take all the wisdom you've learned. But here's the thing about being tested. So I was actually this person was a client of mine. And we kind of got to know each other on a personal level. And one thing led to another. Recovering addict, I'll add, which is fine. Been sober for many, many years. And we started dating. And I thought, man, like, amazing connection. We never fought, never argued, very, I guess, spiritual kind of connection, or so it felt to me. But anyways, that all came crashing to a halt. when, well, it wasn't quite a year later, there was a relapse. Things started going sideways. But here's where we take the lessons that we've learned moving forward. I didn't know what was going on at the time. I was so confused. This person did a 180 on me, acting totally out of character. One night, there was an incident, and I knew. I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta leave. I packed up the next morning once he went to work, grabbed mostly all my stuff, and I left because I had to save myself. I learned something from the previous relationship and all the work I had done on myself. I left much quicker. But I was tested. What was the test? We're going to present you with the same thing in a different package and see what you do with it. I failed the test. I went for another addict, really. I'm not saying that recovering addicts can't stay sober. But what I learned from that is that's too risky for me. Right? It's too risky. Because I'm living my life one day at a time based on somebody else's sobriety. The ups and downs, the emotional roller coaster. I guess being the empath I am, I don't deal with it well. So this is where, prime example of when we learn things, it's like when you know better, do better. I am not resentful towards anybody for what happened. What I've learned and the growth I've done. Two of the most painful things, really honestly, to date. But what I've learned for my soul's growth and the evolution of my soul throughout all of that, can't put a price on it. Can't put a price on it. Anyways. So I just need to explain that because I know a lot of people are going through some really hard stuff. Like I said, I feel we all are as a collective. But it's so important to stop and look how far you've come. Even if you are tested and you failed the test like I did, I'm only human. There's still more that you need to learn. And some of us have to learn the hard way, and we keep giving people chance after chance. And it's really, people can become addicting too, right? So you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, or going for the same type of people over and over and over again. You keep getting the same result. It's the definition of insanity. This is where we need to choose ourselves, love ourselves, take the lessons that we've learned and allow it to liberate us. Use them as stepping stones. Right? So I feel that that's important. So anyways, I just wanted to come on here and tell you guys I know that the readings have been heavy. And when we are light workers or tarot readers, I tell you right now, when we have those cards laid out in front of us, we take on that energy. We feel all of it. When you hear us try and explain the situation or the cards, I guess it's just, we are so deeply feeling it that I don't think a lot of people realize it's hard on us too. When those heavy readings come out, somebody need to hear it. If I help one person, I always say, if it's not your reading, fine. Leave it for somebody else who needs to hear the message. And that's why I'm trying to shake things up and put in different, we're all going through different stages of things at different times. But I always feel if you sit and you listen to a video, you can take something away from it. And I always say to take the parts that resonate and leave the rest. I'm reading for a collective. These aren't personal readings, right? Although I do offer those, as you all know. But the point of the matter is they're not personal readings. So anyways, guys, I just kind of wanted to come on here and just express how I'm feeling, I guess. And yeah, just I've had a lot on my mind this morning and feel that there was some messages that I needed to get out there. I don't know, it seems to me that people think that we're light workers, oftentimes that we have it all figured out, or we haven't been to hell and back, or, it's not true. Most of us have. Most of us have been so deep in it at some point in our life, if not several times in our life, you know? Anyways, guys, happy Sunday. I hope you have a great day and you didn't mind me rambling on. And I wish you all love and light, and, just know you're not alone, and we're all going through it, and we need to have empathy and compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. I always say love on yourself, take care of yourself, and it's so important. Whether you're in a relationship or not, your relationship with yourself needs to be nurtured too. Okay? It's like you're so busy loving on everyone else that you forget to love on yourself. You need to fill your tank up too, so you have more to give. Okay? And I oftentimes get this feeling of, trying to keep everybody else happy. Meanwhile, your needs aren't being met. And if you're in a situation like that, that's where you need to speak up, because your needs matter too. You're just going to end up drained and feeling resentful at the end of the day. And I don't care if it's with your kids, sitting down and having a conversation with your kids about helping out around the house or whatever, because mom or dad is tired, and this would really make you feel good if they could do this or that, without it turning into a fight. I think this is where we have to allow others to step up and help us too, and take a load off us sometimes. Anyways, guys, I don't know, I'm just rambling now. So anyways, I'll probably have another video here later. There's something else I kind of want to touch on. But I feel for the collective, this is where a lot of dark stuff, whether it be within ourselves or clearly in the world, in the outside world, is really coming to light. There's actually a pretty interesting situation that I just dealt with in the last few days, where very interesting, being a light worker and you shed light on the dark. I actually had a very interesting experience with that the other day. Anyways, guys, maybe I'll do a video about that later. I'm going to spill my guts anymore. I think I've been on here almost half an hour. Anyways, if anybody has any comments or whatever, you know the drill. just leave me a comment, and maybe one of these days I'll go live and we can have an open chat. I just don't really know what time works best for everybody. Anyways, guys, love and light. Hope to see y'all again soon.